Joining me now to discuss the latest from the sometimes tawdry world of entertainment is the Daily Telegraph's Jonathon Moran. How are you, Jonathon?
Hi, Rita. I'm really well, thank you. Happy Mardi Gras.
Happy Mardi Gras. Well, I was expecting a lapel or a rainbow shirt or something. You've disappointed me today.
I got blue.
You got blue. Now, let's start with the overdue dose of justice that's come Harvey Weinstein's way this week. He has been found guilty of 2 of the 5 charges he was facing and is looking at a lengthy stretch behind bars. How did you see that, and is there more cases coming?
Look, he's also up against charges in Los Angeles, so this is far from over. I personally think that we're on the right side of history, that this decision is the right thing, that this man has very clearly been behaving in a predatory manner for many, many years, and so he's going to get between 5 and 25 years. My personal view is it should be on the upper scale, but if we take it based on just what we saw play out in court, then we don't really know. 2 out of 5 is great. It's a good result in the sense that it was a complicated case, but 5 out of 5 would have been better.
Well, yes, and he did get acquitted of some of the more serious cases, but like you said, he could get possibly sentenced up to 25 years for what he has been found guilty of. So we'll wait to see. As he's still in the prison hospital at the moment. He hasn't been transferred to Rikers Island yet. Now, let's move on to an issue that I'm loath to bring up, to be honest. We've discussed some unpleasant issues on this program, but none as gross and uncouth as this. Explain to us why a yarn about a toothbrush and a toilet is the top trending story in the country, or was for about 2 days. What's going on?
I mean, look, unfortunately, and for me it's a guilty pleasure, but it's also work. I'm finding it quite putrid, for want of a better word. Putrid, revolting, feral, cesspool. Married at First Sight has stooped to the lowest common denominator this week. We've seen play out. I actually wrote a story before it went to air about this incident. One of the contestants, so the husband and wife on the show, one of the males got his TV wife's toothbrush and cleaned the toilet with it. There were marks in the toilet. He used the toothbrush to do that, put it back.
No.
His claim was revenge because she allegedly cheated on him. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, I'm clearly too old. I don't think that's funny at all. He said it was a bit of a joke. He's done worse with his mates. Well, mate, go and hang out with your mates and don't do it on national television.
I'd be going to the cops if I found out something like that had happened. That is, to me, crossing lines from being just gross to being borderline criminal. I mean, what sort of sick, deranged imbeciles are these so-called experts on this program selecting to take part in this experiment?
You'll see from the beginning, the first seasons, they were called psychologists. Now they're not allowed to call themselves that. They call themselves relationship experts. I mean, I think that we as consumers have a lot to answer for because we are consuming this content. It's the most watched TV show in Australia this year, massive numbers. But it's also the producers. At what point do we go, hang on, enough is enough? You know, producers manipulating something on, say, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here, chucking a Mars bar through the fence when the camera's not looking or something like that. That's one thing, it's harmless, but this is playing with people's lives, and we've seen people abroad in the UK take their lives because of the ongoing stress on their mental health and their mental persona that is really serious. And I think something dangerous is going to happen in Australia before we finally take note and go, hang on. You know, we don't need MKR to be going down that route, and they're under pressure to do so because their ratings aren't high. Married at First Sight is grotty, it is disgusting, and the producers are taking advantage of these people. We've seen it with this toothbrush incident. They could have chosen not to air that. And then also last week we saw an incident where Poppy, who left the show, came out subsequently and said that her words, or that she was threatened basically about what she said, and if she didn't act a certain way then she'd be getting a bad edit. I mean, we know this happens on television.
Even years ago, I think it was the Big Brother producers made a decision when one of the contestants stepped over the line and did something that they got removed from the program. And I think this is an incident where it crosses that line where they should be removed as soon as they found out about it. Or at the very least, if they actually filmed him with the toothbrush, then make sure that that toothbrush ended up in the bin and that poor woman didn't end up putting it in her mouth. I mean, my God, this is just a gross topic. So let's move on to...
Have you seen the TV show Unreal?
My Kitchen Rolls. Oh, my God, it is crazy. You said the ratings for My Kitchen Rules are down, and you wrote earlier this week that the first 4 episodes, they're down to about half of what they were getting last year. So why is that? Is it because they're not as nasty as they were in the past, or is it the new format?
Interestingly, Married at First Sight is all about these gross stories and these disgusting manufactured situations, and with MKR I think they've tried to go down that route a little bit, and they've made it more about those personalities, and they've been heading that way the last few seasons, and I think people are fed up. What they want from a cooking show is purely cooking, and they're fed up with the drama that's sort of been brought in because producers at this Channel 7 show are thinking that they need to emulate what's going on elsewhere in the TV market, and everyone is saying that they need to bring it back to the food. My guess is that this will be the last season of MKR for a year or so, and then they'll either bring it back, because it needs to be rested. They've done some permanent damage here. The ratings have gone from 1 million down to 400,000, or 800,000 down to 400,000, depending on the day of the week that it screens. So that's pretty dangerous and pretty damaging. That said, it is against Married at First Sight, which, whatever way you look at it, however much I loathe it, it is a juggernaut and people are watching it.
Well, that's it. And like you said, we can only blame ourselves, because if we're clicking on these stories and we're watching that, they're going to keep producing this crap for us, and they're going to keep pushing the line to God knows what they come up with next. Jonathon, Moran, thank you for joining me. I'll be back with sport after this break.